Welcome to Marvel Vision, a podcast about Marvel, the MCU, and Loki. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm
a little bit higher.
I'm Pete.
I'm Pete.
Oh God, stop! Please stop! Please, people's heads are exploding. We want to talk about your cool hip hat?
No, I don't want to talk about my hat, but I do want to talk about Loki Episode 3, Lamentis, that just dropped on Disney Plus.
Yep,
Hopefully
that's
you
right.
all that was perfect pronunciation.
Oh my God.
Hopefully you all checked it out, because we're going to jump into spoilers for the episode and talk all about it. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it now, because this, as usual with the show, was a big one. But broad overview, we've got Loki and Lady Loki, a.k.a. Sylvie, a.k.a. the Enchantress. I think
I don't know. We can't say that for sure. They only used the word enchant 15 times in this episode.
Yeah.
So we're not 100% locked into that.
She might be the Enchanter or something
100%.
like that.
Yep.
Another very famous Marvel character.
Or just like us at the top of this podcast, the Enchantus, the lovely little singers.
Wow.
Enchantus. Pete, take the higher note. And
Boo! Boo!
is he saying twos or boos?
I don't know, but that was a much lower note than we needed, let me be honest.
So they are palling around, not at all, actually. They're fighting and they're sparring and figuring out each other, as two Lokis are wont to do, and accidentally end up on an apocalyptic planet called Lamentis, one that is about to explode. So they make their way across the planet to try to escape in various ways, figure out a little bit more each other, and at the end of the episode, they are trapped on the dying planet. So I think, just to start off, this was a really good series. It was a weird way to end it, but it ended in a big fashion with a big scene, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, first off, it starts with sick beats, and someone with cool hats would know sick beats when they hear it, right? I mean, did you like that intro?
I loved Sick Beats. That's my favorite song. That's what it's called, right?
No,
Yeah, Sick Beats.
no, it's not it at all.
Oh, okay. I'm kidding. I know this is the third of six episodes. This was great. I thought this was my favorite episode of the show so far. I thought Sophia DiMartino as Sylvie was excellent. Really liked her rapport with Tom Hiddleston, and the action was so good in this episode.
Yeah, I think great action over the course of a number of sequences, especially that last one. A lot of just falling objects, which are terrifying. This episode, to me, had a lot of big Mando energy. Very Mandalorian vibes to me. I guess that makes Loki sort of a baby Yoda figure here in a lot of ways.
Man.
Which was an interesting turn from our more chatty episodes that kicked off the season. Got to say, I do miss some Owen Wilson in here. Because this felt like it could be a complete different series almost.
Well, we talked about that a little bit, that Michael Waldron, the creator of the show, or I guess head writer is what they call them at Marvel, of the show, really wanted to give it a different feel every episode. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a little bit of Western vibes with the train, with the town, with the old lady with the shotgun, with everything that's going on here. So yeah, you're going to get some of that Mando stuff.
It was like canon.
And I agree with you that we did miss Owen Wilson here, but I also think this is a really important episode for establishing Sylvie as a character in her relationship with Loki, and finding out that she's maybe not exactly the villain here so much as just another Loki who is doing things.
Yeah, a Loki who's trying to, get away from these time variant people, you know?
Well, I mean, this goes to sort of the Enchantress of it all that we were referencing earlier. There's a line in here. What I think this show does, or is doing, is telling us what it is in very subtle ways, but being very direct about it. Lady Loki Enchantress has a line, "I'm not you," and that's she could just be saying like, "I'm not like you," but I think what she's saying is, "I'm not a Loki. I'm something else. I'm just wearing a headpiece, and everyone thinks I'm a Loki." But that's not that's not how clothes work. Anyone can wear clothes, and it's not like, oh,
wait, what?
Right. Well, right now I'm wearing a hat, so I'm Pete.
Yeah, that's super clear. Super 100%. Clear.
That's why
I liked what she was like. Yeah, don't call me Loki. She was like, "Don't call me that," and he was like, "What? Tech savvy?" And she was like, "No, Loki." And I was like, I thought that was cool. She's either very touchy about it, or just trying to be a opposite of Loki.
No, I think Justin's right. I think they're being very straightforward here. We're going, this is potentially getting into spoilers, but it seems like we're going to find out about Sylvie's backstory in the next episode. Kaylee Fleming, who plays Judith on The Walking Dead right now, not the baby version, but the slightly grown up version, is going to be playing.
Love to see a baby in here.
Yeah, I would love Loki babies. That would be a great variant.
Oh my God.
So much fun.
Stop it.
Little baby Owen Wilson going, wow, wow, wow.
Stop.
Very fun.
Now,
anyway,
that's
we're going to
the
see.
impression. Now, that's the impression we've been waiting to do is baby Owen. Not sure how useful it is
How
in the
did it-
future.
I did it for SNL. They were like, hey, what 3 characters do you have? And I said, they're all baby Owen Wilson.
Baby Owen Wilson, baby Luke Wilson, and baby the other Wilson brother that no one knows the name of.
Yeah. And they said, oh, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. Could you do baby Wilson, the volleyball? From...
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. It took me a
Baby volleyballs are actually golf balls. Did you know that?
It's not true.
That's a really
It
good fun
is true.
fact.
No,
It's true.
that's not
they
true.
they grow up and they get a little
Softer.
softer.
They get
Yeah.
softer as they get older. Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Kelly Fleming for The Walking Dead is going to be playing young Sylvie in the next episode, reportedly. So I do think we're going to get a flashback there. And certainly there's a lot of questions that get raised by that conversation they have on the train of she clearly doesn't know who Frigga is, Loki's mom. She doesn't seem to have been adopted by Odin. She may not even know Asgard. She doesn't really give up any information other than the fact that she knows how to enchant people and describing how to do that later in the episode where they're walking. So I think to your point, Justin, she certainly could still be Loki. And I think we will find out in some respect she is Loki, but also she's not. She's something else. There's something else going on here.
Loki's not who you are. It's sort of the way you are. Perhaps we're learning here. And I think that it's telling the sort of big clue we get dropped at the end of the episode that the TVA has been stealing variants out of timelines and making them work at the TVA. It feels like they're going to be the big bad here, and it feels like there's going to be some way that Sylvie was emotionally wronged by the TVA, and there's going to be a reckoning, I think, there.
Yeah, whether it was something that specifically happened with the TVA or they erased her timeline or she was a variant or something like that. Certainly, again, I think, yes, we're definitely going to find out more stuff. Also, a little note on that. Love the beginning of the episode, like Pete was talking about earlier, where we got to see that Hunter character in her life before she was in the TVA. Yeah. I think it also indicates, just to throw out something, it certainly indicates that maybe Owen Wilson, whoever he was before the TVA, maybe he had something to do with jet skis,
Whoa, he was the jet ski salesman, and then Loki brain freezed him. Oh, wow, that's crazy. But
or maybe he was our timeline's Owen Wilson, who no doubt owns one or more jet skis in his life.
Right. There's actually only supposed to be one Wilson brother. So Owen is the variant they took him out of the timeline.
Wow, how dare you?
Wow.
How dare you?
Luke Wilson is the prime Wilson.
Oh, holy shit. You just uprooted Hollywood with that statement.
I do really like the back and forth between Sylvie and Loki and this kind of who can trust who type of thing. And also like the way that he was like, wait, tell me about your mother. That was cool to see Loki start to care a little bit and then see him get derailed by someone being like asking him what love is, and then he has to be like, well, wait, I got to drink some more. And then comes up with love is like a dagger, which, did not hold up at all.
No, you don't buy it? I felt like that was this series. Grief is just love persevering in a pretty intense way. Sort of a more complicated metaphor and probably not setting off a Twitter firestorm.
But they did a really good job. And this is, I think, points to what's working about the tone of the show of throwing that grief persevering moment out there and then immediately undercutting it with a joke, which worked very well. So you could read that as this show's focus on this is what love is, this is how it works, or you could take it as it is wildly wrong and it doesn't make any sense. And I think either interpretation is okay.
Well, and I also, to me, I took from that sequence that this series is about, like, I'm staying this big statement, and it's all bullshit. Like, it feels like everyone is lying to everyone in this show, but at the core, we're hoping, I think, that we boil down and find out that Loki and maybe a lot of these characters, including Sylvie, are good at their core, just trying to do the right thing in the most mischievous way possible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that comes to one of my favorite relatively subtle, moments in the episode is when Loki basically manipulates the situation so that they can try to save the Ark. Like, ostensibly, it's so they can save themselves, but there's a moment, the way to Tom Hiddleston delivers the line, where he's basically saying, oh, I guess we could save everybody in the Ark and take them to safety and change the timeline. That would really help us, right? And he frames it that way, but it's clearly not completely that. There's a part of him that does want to save these people, doesn't feel right leaving them behind, and that doesn't make him a hero. At best, he's an anti-hero, but certainly he has a strain of that we see throughout this episode.
Yeah, and I that also sort of, he's so goofy in this episode, and he's such a goober. Like, he fucks up a lot, and like when he's pretending to be the cop, the like sort of blue outfit cop, he was so weird. It was
over
so
the top.
Yeah, so broad. And I don't know what those choices say about him or the show. Is he pretending to be bad at everything? Because even the Loki, this timeline Loki, who just lost in the Avengers movie, he's still a little savvier than that, than what we're seeing here.
I don't know. I think it could go either way. Either he's been completely thrown off his game by everything that's happened, or he is playing a crazy long game, and we're going to have a 6th episode reveal of going back through all the episodes and laying out his plan and seeing what he's been doing the entire time.
Well, I do think that he was just kind of playing her a little bit to find out that kind of like key bit information. I mean, it was like late in the episode when we finally got the reveal that, everybody who works there hasn't been working there. They weren't like born to work at that place. So that was kind of like his kind of moment of like, aha, I finally got the thing that I needed from you type.
Maybe it's also pointing to just a meta structural writer thing of the way Loki's plans have played out in the MCU so far is their 90% improvisation, where he doesn't have anything planned out further than 1 or 2 steps ahead and just manages to get very lucky. And the only person who could really notice that and point that out is another Loki.
Oh.
Yeah. Again, someone just wearing a tiny little hat, basically. It proves that they're a Loki. If I was wearing that hat, I'd be Loki.
Yeah. How did you guys feel about the firework moments? Like, it seems like in Marvel projects, like I wish I was wearing a hat right now to prove how much I love Marvel. But like, Marvel loves fireworks as punchlines. You saw it in Thor Ragnarok. There was a lot of fun firework bits. But then kind of like Loki being like, my mom told me I could do anything, and does the little fireworks in his hands was very sweet and adorable.
I once had a firework go off in my hand, and it was not a sweet moment.
Oh, that's tough.
It was awful. It exploded. I was reeling back to throw it, and it exploded in my hand. Split my finger open like a little hot dog.
Wow,
man!
Did you put ketchup and mustard in there? Or what was your?
I would never put ketchup on a hot dog or my hand that looks like a hot dog, and I think you know that.
Well, it's a good thing you have 2. You know what I mean? That's why they give you 2.
And even though it was
hot
bleeding
dogs
in
or
it,
hands? What do you
hands?
I also have 2 hot dogs. Even though it was the blood coming out of my hand looked like ketchup, and despite the pain I was in, I was like, "This is not how I would enjoy this meat snack."
A little extra pain. I like that.
Yeah. Would you have been happier if your finger got split open and just yellow juice started pouring out?
Yeah, if you got a little yellow to zigzag pattern.
When I get that magic lamp I've been questing for, I will finally be able to make good on that wish, Alex, and bleed mustard, as I've been saying for years.
I could see no monkey paw style repercussions for that.
Yeah.
None.
I said my 3 wishes are bleed mustard.
Go on.
Yeah, please go on. Please go on. I would love to. As you've
Sweat
always
relish.
said, here are the other 2.
sweat relish and pea
my-
pickles. I want
Wow.
a pea pickle.
That's got to be painful, man. Not pickle juice. You said pickles.
That's why I mean that, because I love pickles. I love pickles.
Oh my god, that's so awful. I can't even.
So,
Yes.
I have a
Pete was
question.
actually
For,
going to say
You've
something,
ruined
but-
pickles for me. I think I'm done.
Wow,
with
that was the
pickles.
thing that ruined pickles?
Yeah.
that's insane. Well, you'd be happy with your fucking trash condiment ketchup for the rest of your life.
Yes, happily.
Alex, you have to answer this because I don't watch this program I'm about to say. Is this episode, and maybe this show in general, sort of a Doctor Who audition tape for a lot of these characters?
I think there's definitely threads of that, certainly. You know, the thing about Doctor Who that maybe you're pulling out from vague knowledge of it is that every episode is its own standalone adventure, and at least with the modern ones, they'll have some sort of overarching thing happen over the course of the season that lightly plays throughout and usually comes to bear with the season finale or something like that. But yeah, the humor, certainly the way Tom Hiddleston is playing Loki in this episode, where it is a little wilder and all over the place. It's not as big as the Doctor is on that show, but there's certainly a sense of that. And I don't know. I mean, it's also possible, like, there's a pretty famous David Tennant Doctor Who episode where they are on a train, so maybe there's some seeds of that in there, but it's as much Doctor Who as I think it's Rick and Morty. You know, Michael Waldron worked on Rick and Morty, and certainly, like, there's some senses there in terms of the sense of humor. A lot of people have pointed out that all of the Lokis feels a lot like the Council of Ricks, which is on Rick and Morty, which is just a multiversal collection of Ricks and Mortys who are working to protect the multiverse. So you certainly got a little sense of that.
Let's say that I believe the inspiration for that idea came from the Council of Reeds from Marvel Comics Fantastic Four. So there's a lot of real jazz happening
The
here.
thing that I think is working for me about Loki, though, is that it has a sense of that Doctor Who. It has a sense of Rick and Morty. It has a sense of, like, the MCU, obviously. But it really is forming its own tone and becoming its own thing, both through the way it's shot, through the dialogue, through everything. And I'm really enjoying that.
I just, when I kind of like, there are certain moments in the episode that kind of like stuck with me and I'm having a hard time with. Like, for one, Loki went back for knives instead of going to Eugene's desk for, I don't know, a couple handful of Infinity Stones. Like, that part was like, first off, appreciate going back for the knives. You know what I mean? You got a weapon of choice. That's what you go with. But, like, you know, I was... You know, like, there's just Infinity Stones in Eugene's desk,
But
chilling.
they don't matter. We've already established in the
In
series.
this world. But once you go into another timeline, they're back to mattering.
But he wasn't planning on that. He was planning on confronting Sylvie or going with her to confront the Time Masters. So he wouldn't have needed the Infinity Stones. Knives, on the other hand, good to have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus,
love
you
is a
can't be
dagger,
like-
man.
I was going to say, you can't say love is an Infinity Stone.
It kind of is, though.
Interesting. Which one?
Oh, I
The
don't know.
Heartstone.
Oh, there you go.
Turn on your Heartstone. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point, Alex. Like, this show is sort of scooping up a lot of different tones and building it around a character like Loki that is so fun, loved, and with enough sort of, for lack of a better term, variation. Like, he can be sort of a hero. He can be sort of the very stock villain, and charting a new path with it, I think, is nice. And it also, like, let's talk about the visuals. It's beautifully made, this episode and this show.
That last tracking shot, I mean, I know it was faked a little bit, but that last shot as they're running through the collapsing city, so good, so well staged, so much fun. I'm going to say something that I know Pete is going to yell at me for, but my big takeaway watching this episode is it felt like this show, and this episode in particular, is putting Falcon and Winter Soldier to shame.
Oh, come on.
And the reason I say that is that should be the high standard for action in the Disney Plus MCU shows. And it's not right now. That's Loki for me. Like, the fight scenes throughout the episode were great. That tracking shot was great. Loved it.
Okay.
This is Pete bait. This is Pete bait. Pete.
It is Pete bait. Yeah.
All right. So
Pete,
first off,
that's a big old Pete worm up there. That's a hot dog covered in ketchup, and I don't know if you want to bite into it.
listen.
I'm
First
gonna
off,
be honest. It's actually my finger, and it's covered in mustard.
I'm still all right. Listen, I still think that last shot we talked about it. Those shot that was fake. It looked like they were on a sound stage. We saw a ship that they were never going to get to.
Newsflash: they are on a soundstage.
None of the other shows gave us that kind of like this is not as well production wise as the other one. So you can't. That pulled me right out of it. So tracking shot, great, but like if it doesn't look like a real ship that they're going to get to, I'm not buying into what's happening. But when Falcon did a spin move and threw the shield through the fucking glass and then to reveal, go fuck yourself. All right, that was unbelievable, like flying through the air.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you are right. I liked when Falcon looked at Batroc and said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
That was pretty edgy.
But I agree with you.
Hero.
The fight sequences in this episode were fantastic. Really great moves, some fantastic stuff. I loved it. It looked really great.
It really it's setting the bar for the Marvel action sequence. That's what I think I'm saying. What you're saying.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, we're all saying the same thing.
Nope.
Yep. Couple of other things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. This is sort of a two-prong thing because this is one of the biggest moments in the episode that we haven't really talked about yet. So let's talk about this thing first. Loki is come out is the wrong word, but is noted as canonically bisexual, which is pretty cool. The line, in case you missed it, is Sylvie, I was about to call her Lady Loki. Sylvie says, "How about you?
Don't call her
prince
Loki.
Must have been, she'll come for me, must have been would-be princesses or perhaps another prince." And he says, "A bit of both, I suspect, same as you." And the director of all the episodes, Kate Herron, who has been awesome on Twitter, and everybody should check her out because she's been putting great Easter eggs and other things out there that have been super fun, said very early this morning, "From the moment I joined Loki Official, it was very important to me and my goal to acknowledge Loki was bisexual. It is a part of who he is and who I am too. I know this is a small step, but I'm happy and heart is so full to say that this is now canon in #MCU. Which I thought was great. You know, Disney has taken a lot of flack for the teeny tiny steps that it has taken towards LGBTQ plus representation in particular. We were just talking about this on our live show, but it was nice to see this. This is, again, a small step, but it's an important one, particularly with a character as prominent as Loki.
You probably wanted to switch to your mouse ears for that statement. I'm surprised you kept the Marvel hat on.
Oh, no, they're under there. They're like tiny little.
Okay,
I got them grafted on.
Yeah.
You know how mice can grow human ears?
It's hard to take you seriously when you
have.
have something on your head that is like, I am selling out my opinion.
Oh, do you want me to flip it up like that?
Oh, look how cool you are. Hey, cool kids.
My Bell's got the ill communication.
You look like a different human. And let me say, I also find it amazing and horrifying to imagine like skin Mickey Mouse ears, like fully organic black skin discs coming out of your head.
Yeah.
Oh I'm getting my Mickey Mouse ear pierced. It's horribly painful.
Sam Raimi is actually rebooting the Mickey Mouse series, and in it he's going to have organic Mickey Mouse ears.
Classic Raimi. I agree with you. I thought it was cool and just like an easy move. Like that's the character. That's the character from the comics. Like it would be much harder to not have done that, and I'm glad they just did it.
On the flip side of things, though, what do you think is going on with the relationship between Loki and Sylvie? Because I feel like that's something that you could read in a couple of different ways, that they're just sort of feeling each other out as two Lokis. Maybe it's a begrudging friendship / partnership, or potentially it felt like there could weirdly be something romantic going on there. How did you take it?
I found it enchanting, I think is the only word I could use. I mean, if Sylvie is the Enchantress, like I think we're going to, that's like her whole power set is sort of getting people, using emotions to get people. And we saw her do that the way her enchanting powers work is going in through the TVA soldiers' emotions and clicking in on that. So I do think that's what is maybe happening here as a tool of manipulation, the same way that Loki's manipulating everyone. as far as real emotions between the two, I feel like there's a begrudging respect and sort of a like when two card counters meet each other at the blackjack table.
They get pissed and then try to be like, no, I was here first.
No. They both start dealing. They just like start dealing cards. It's a classic deal off.
Bring their own cards.
So nothing romantic, you don't think, Justin?
I feel like there's a little will they, won't they magic going on. But we got to find out who she is first or whatever before we can have any kind of what's going on. So
as a follow-up, if you were single, just in the scenario you're single, would you date a female version of yourself? Pete?
No, that would be awful.
She has a full beard.
Yeah.
How does that help? But thank you for throwing that in there.
No problem.
Let me say, I wouldn't date a female version of myself. I would date a female Pete, though.
That's really weird.
I feel like I could really the table is set for that romance. That will they, won't they?
Oh my God.
I would love to see it. I would love to have you come over to my blackjack table and have a classic deal off with both of you.
Oh, man.
A couple of other quick little Easter eggy type things I wanted to mention. Lamentis 1 is actually a planet from the comics. It only very briefly appears, but an Annihilation Conquest prologue #1 from 2007. And it has the same purple coloring. So there you go. They really captured the look of it. I think we talked about this last...
If they put a 1 after your planet, it's not going to last long. Because there's a 2 coming and they had to label that one 1.
Or a junior. I don't know, depending on how you want to call it.
I live on Earth Junior? Wow.
That's where Jeff Bezos is heading. He's going to land on Earth Junior pretty soon. It's very exciting.
Everything's just a little bit smaller.
We talked about this, I believe, the last episode, but Sylvie, the name here, was actually the Enchantress #2, who was I believe, a regular human girl given Enchantress powers by Loki, and she joined Avengers Academy. I don't think we're going to see this exact story there or anything like that. To me, it seems like they're mishmashing a bunch of things. They're taking the Sylvie name, they're taking Enchantress powers, they're putting it on a Loki, but again, I guess we'll see next episode.
But I would argue that I think she's, as we learned in this episode, she learned her powers. I think she will be a normal human and not a god of any kind, someone who has powered up to get revenge or take down the TVA because of whatever they did to her or someone she cares about.
It feels weird that you're saying normal human. Wouldn't you just say human? Like she would just be human?
Like a human junior. You know what I mean? Like a Whopper junior.
Oh, yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
Another Easter egg that popped up in this episode was Loki saying another and smashing his glass, which you might remember was the same thing that Thor did in the classic diner scene in the first Thor movie. So that's just a thing they do when they're done with their drinks. So that was a super fun one. And the last one that I wanted to mention, Pete, I don't know if you picked up on this, but the 2 soldiers who are waiting by the train who they end up enchanting, their names, the names of the characters were Corporal Hicks and Private Hudson, who, of course, are Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton's characters from Aliens.
Nice.
Which is kind of a weird Easter egg, but fun anyway.
Yeah, that's
cool.
That
is a very tiny Easter egg. It's game over,
aliens.
man.
Game over, man.
I'm surprised they didn't say that at any point. So there you go. Before we move on and start to wrap up here, any other thoughts about the episode, moments that you wanted to call out?
Great line. I can't go backwards on a train. Very funny little moment there.
True
with form.
There was a lot of great lines in this episode. I already pointed out the tech savvy line, but she goes, "You are in my way," and Loki responds, "You are my way." I thought that was pretty cool.
Was really good episode. Last thing we're going to do here, let's turn to our vision board where we look ahead at what we want to see in episode 4 of the series. I'll just start since I've said mine already, but I'm very excited to see Kelly Fleming as young Sylvie, if that does indeed happen. I think that'll be very interesting how they handle the backstory. Will it be a full episode thing? Will it be just a little flash at the beginning like we saw with Sylvie, with regular age Sylvie there? And will she be called Sylvie Jr.? That's my big question.
Yeah,
I
I
wanna
think
see
that's
it
a good choice just to show, like Whopper Junior. You're like, you know what you're getting. You know what you're
Exactly.
getting.
It's a Whopper, but smaller. Pete, what about you? What's on your vision board for the next episode?
I need to know what the fuck is going on with the 3 lizards. All right, we need to just either say it's not real or something because it's driving me crazy. But I'm also hoping we get a little flashback to Owen Wilson's life where he's younger, maybe he's got a Marvel hat and just is a little less than what he becomes later. You know what I mean?
Oh. That really took me on a roller coaster of emotions there, Pete.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't watching this, Alex went happy to be included, and then instantly sour to be made fun of. It was a real Loki level roller coaster. I agree with you, Pete. I definitely want to hear about the lizards. My prediction, once again, there's going to be a fish tank with 3 lizard pets in there, and that's where the lizard, the timekeepers came from. Weird prediction. Wow. I've imagined it. I don't think we're going to get that next episode. I think next episode we're going to get Owen Wilson back. I think we're going to end next episode with Owen Wilson maybe even starting to question the timekeepers as we move forward and take down this big organization.
And on that note, we didn't talk about it earlier, but we got a teeny tiny little bit of Ravonna again, and she seems like a total badass, but I think by this point we need to see more of her and what's going on with her, because you brought this up in an earlier episode, Justin, but she just seems like this dangling thing that's kind of over here that we haven't really fleshed out yet. So it'll be interesting, and I would like to see how she's working with the timekeepers, what her role is actually in the TVA going forward.
She's the big bad. That's my predict. And of course, I'm always looking forward in my vision board to meet female Pete.
Oh my God.
Petra is her name.
If you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Loki. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, follow, and listen to the show at Marvel Vision Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, stay marvelous.
Stay marvelous.
Stay marvelous.
Please stop.
I repeat.